As a kid, and probably as many of you have as well, I watched The Little Mermaid. And what's really funny about this is that we have our own Little Mermaid in Genshin Impact. And Hoyoverse knows that, and has really kind of capitalized on it with how they built her. Who am I talking about, you may ask? Which would be weird because the title and the thumbnail say it all. We're talking about Sanga no Miya Kokomi of Watatsumi Island. Now, the reason why we're talking about her today is, of course, we're going to talk about what you need to level her up to level 90 and what you need to do to build her as a character. So, let's go ahead and get into this build guide. But before we get into that, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified of when the next Genshin Impact video build guide comes out. And of course, leave a comment. Would love to hear you guys' opinions. But without any further delay, let's go ahead and get right into it. Sanga no Miya Kokomi is, of course, a Hydro Catalyst user and a 5-star to boot, and has been rerun a couple times already, but there's good reason why a lot of people are still summoning for her, and that is because she is a really good character. I honestly place her in my top 10. But before we get into how you would build her, let's go ahead and talk about how to level her up. Now, as you can see, we do have our stones that we normally get with every single character. We have the Varunata Lazurite Silvers, the Varunata Lazurite Fragments, the Varunata Lazurite Chunks, and the Varunata Lazurite Gemstones. In total, you're going to need 1 of these Silvers, 9 of these Fragments, 9 of the Chunks, and 6 of the Gemstones. Now, to make these certain things, you need 3 silvers to make a fragment, 3 fragments to make a chunk, and 3 chunks to make a gemstone. Now, you could get these from a couple of different bosses. You could get this from in Leeway, you could fight Oceanid, you could fight the Hydro Hypostasis. I believe also you could get this from the dual boss in Inkonomiya. I can't remember the name right now. And when it comes to certain world bosses, actually there is one. I believe you could get these from Child's boss fight. So if you need these, you have a couple of different options. Of course, what better person to farm, or what better monster to farm than the Hydro Hypostasis? And the reason why is because you're going to need these Dew of Repudiation. If I said that correctly. You're going to need 46 of these in total, which you get as a boss drop from the Hydro Hypostasis. Now, you get about 2 to 3 per drop, which means that if you're getting 2, you're going to have to fight this boss a grand total of 23 times. And that's the least amount of times that you can fight this boss. If you somehow get 3 with each one, I don't know how to calculate that in my head at the moment, so I'm going to pull up my calculator. But it's a very extremely rare chance that you'll get 3 in each one. So if you do, you only need to fight him 16 times, which is significantly better than fighting him 23 times, but I digress. The next thing you're going to need is the Songo Pearls. Now, the Songo Pearls, you're going to need a grand total of 168. But because Miss Kokomi has been out for so long, you could probably bother some friends or maybe a couple of content creators and see if you can actually use their world. Then, of course, the hardest thing, in my opinion, to farm up, because I hate these things, are the drops that you get from the Specters. And the reason why is because the Specters are incredibly annoying to deal with. You need these Spectral Husks, the Spectral Hearts, and of course, the Spectral Nucleus. 3 of these husks make a heart, and 3 of these hearts make a nucleus. How many of these are you going to need to level up from level 1 here to level 90? Well, you're going to need 18 of the husks, you're going to need 30 of the hearts, and you're going to need 36 of the nucleuses. And that's what you're going to need overall for leveling up your Kokomi from level 1 to level 90. You're also going to need 420,000 Mora, which is pretty standard for every single character, so it's not like this is anything new. Now let's go ahead and get into triple crowning Kokomi, because some people will actually do it. And as you can see, as I struggle, you're gonna see this little thing right here. And this is starting at level 2, only because level 1, you don't need anything to level it up to level 1, it's already there. But if you want to triple crown your Kokomi, which I would highly suggest that you don't, but if you do, here's what you're gonna need in total. Now, As you can see here, we have these teachings of transience. These teachings of transience, 3 of those turn into the guides of transience, and 3 of those guides of transience turn into the philosophies of transience. Now, you're gonna need a grand total of 9 of the teachings of transience. You're gonna need 63 of the guides to transience, and of course 114 of these philosophies of transience. You get these from one of the domains in Inazuma that's for, you know, farming these philosophies and all this other stuff. You farm this one on Mondays, Thursdays, and Sundays when everything is open. So you get 2 days to do it, and honestly, it's a long grind. I would definitely recommend that you at least start it. Like, if you're ever doing a character and you ever do the research, I would honestly say doing it 2 weeks in advance at the very least, so that you have a little bit of leeway on that. Now, of course, you're also going to need husks, hearts, and nucleuses again. You're going to need a grand total of 18 of these spectral husks. You're going to need 66 of the spectral hearts, and of course 93 of the spectral nucleuses, on top of what you need to level up your character from level 1 to level 90. And of course, there's only a little bit of other things left. This right here is the Hellfire Butterfly, which you get from fighting Signora. So you're gonna need 18 of these Hellfire Butterflies, which is good in a sense because you can also turn your other ones that you get from, you know, Signora and switch those to the Hellfire Butterfly. And then the last thing you're gonna need is 3 crowns outside of the 7.1 million more that you're gonna need as a grand total. Every character is farmed like this, so understand that there's always going to be this little bit of uniformity in this sense. So, but yeah, that's going to be it for the farming portion. What about how good Kokomi actually is? So let's go ahead and dive into Kokomi here. Kokomi, or at least mine, as you can see, has one glaring flaw. Crit rate is at a negative 91%. That's because when you ascend her, she actually goes negative in crit because she's not meant to crit. She's meant to do a little bit of damage and heal at the same time, which you'll kind of see with my Kokomi as well. She's able to do a little bit of damage, but also heal. But it sucks because you can't crit, which is terrible. I went ahead and made sure to focus on healing bonus and energy recharge a little bit because of the fact that you want to make sure that you're getting those. Now, for the weapon, I chose the Everlasting Moonglow, and the reason why I chose this is because it's her weapon. Like, it makes the most sense to use her own weapon. There are plenty of other options, and I've looked at what other people have used as well. There's Prototype Amber, which is good for healing. You get a nice HP boost of 41.3%. The reason why I use this is I got it randomly. I wasn't even trying for this. And I just summoned and boom, Everlasting Moonglow is here. But having that 49.6% HP extra is fantastic. And so with Everlasting Moonglow, healing bonus goes up by 10%. Normal attack damage is increased by 1% of the max HP of the character equipping this weapon. For 12 seconds after using an elemental burst, normal attacks that hit opponents will restore 0.6 energy. Energy can be restored this way once every 0.1 seconds. It's pretty dope. Now, other weapons that you could use as well. In this one, everyone should have Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers. This is crucial because honestly, like, people sleep on this, but this is the good HP weapon for Catalyst users. When switching characters, the new character taking the field has their attack increased by 48% for 10 seconds. This effect can only occur once every 20 seconds. This is so important because of the fact that Kokomi is not going to be staying on the field for too long. As good of a healer as she is, she's better as an off-field healer. You don't really need to worry about using her burst, even though her burst does heal. And then, of course, you could also use something like Sacrificial Fragments. I don't think that that's the go-to, but you can use it. After damaging an opponent with an elemental skill, the skill has an 80% chance to end its own cooldown, can only occur once every 16 seconds. And the reason why that's important is because your skill, the jellyfish, will do damage over time. And if it hits and it resets, you can use your jellyfish again. So there's a reason why you could use Sacrificial Fragments, but the other weapons have a better a better reason to be used. So I would honestly say if you had to rank those 4 weapons, you would use Moonglow, Prototype Amber, and Thrilling Tales of Dragon Slayers as like 2 and 3. You could probably intertwine them, and then Sacrificial Fragments. Now, artifacts wise, her best set is still the Ocean Hued Clam. 2-piece set, healing bonus is increased by 15%. With the 4-piece set, when a character equipping this artifact set heals a character in the party, a sea-dyed foam will appear for 3 seconds, accumulating the amount of HP recovered from healing, including overflow healing. At the end of the duration, the sea-dyed foam will explode, dealing damage to nearby opponents based on 90% of the accumulated healing. This damage is calculated similarly to reactions such as Electrocharge, Superconduct, but is not affected by Elemental Mastery. Oh, sorry about that. I'm trying to... It won't let me... Oh, there we go. You get the gist of it. It's basically healing and doing damage as a reactionary thing. Excuse me, that was disgusting. I'm sorry. Ugh, gross. But the reason why this is so important is because, again, Kokomi is a healer. We want to make sure that we capitalize on that healing. Your main stats that you want to focus on are ER, HP, and of course, EM. EM is always good for a character that's like a support because, again, that's going to help you with your elemental reactions, and she also helps out as an applicator. So it's important that you get that. ER is important solely because of the fact that you want to make sure that you're able to get your burst in those tight situations, especially when you're in Spiral, because her burst comes in handy. You're healing yourself, you're healing your team, and, you know, being able to survive. Now, for your sands, you want to focus on HP percentage. For your, you know, goblet, you could either do HP percentage or hydro damage, depending on, you know, what you want to do. And of course, your circlet should be based on healing bonus or HP percentage, depending on what you have. Now, as you can see, this one kind of sucks as an Ocean Hued Clam, but my whole goal wasn't to get crit. And a lot of people will be like, well, crit is normally a thing, except for this one. Don't mind that. But crit is not needed for Kokomi in the slightest. Because of the fact that, you know, she gets that negative 100% crit, you're not going to be using her as a damage dealer only when you go into your burst. Now let's go ahead and talk about these abilities. As you can see, mine are pretty bad. I could honestly level these up a little bit better, but I really don't want to farm the Spectre Hearts. Now, her skill, Kurage's Oath, summons a Bake Kurage created from water that can heal her allies. Using this skill will apply the wet status to Sangonomiya Kokomi. What sucks about this is that if you're fighting a cryo, you know, character, you will be frozen. It's just how it is. But you do get out of freeze rather quickly, and she has enough of a tanky, like, HP bar that you're not gonna have to worry too much about taking too much damage. Especially since if you activate Kurage, you're not gonna be able to switch out, and Kurage is gonna heal you even though you get frozen. So it's a win-win. Deals hydro damage to surrounding enemies and heals nearby active characters of fixed intervals. This healing is based on Kokomi's max HP. So that's really crucial, and honestly, I need to level up more. Now, Nereid's Ascension, which is her burst and what we talked about a little bit before. The reason why this is so important, right? And I want to be very, very clear, is that this helps out in very, very, very extreme conditions. Summons the Might of Watasumi, dealing hydro damage to surrounding opponents before robing Kokomi in her ceremonial garment, made from the flowing waters of Sangonomiya. Sangonomiya Kokomi's normal attack, charge attack, and Kurage damage is increased based on her max HP. When her normal and charge attacks hit opponents, Kokomi will restore HP for all nearby party members, and the amount restored is based on her max HP. Increases Sangonomiya Kokomi's resistance to interruption and allows her to walk on water surfaces. That's right, our jellyfish girl becomes Jesus. So, now let's go ahead and talk about the Ascension passives. The first Ascension passive is Sangonomiya Kokomi's own Bake Kurage is on the field. When she uses Nereid's Ascension, the Bake Kurage's duration will be refreshed. So you can wait until like just about when it disappears and then activate Nereid's Ascension and you'll be good. And then of course the second Ascension passive, Song of Pearls, When donning the ceremonial garment created by Nereid's Ascension, the normal charge attack damage bonus Sanganamiya Kokomi gains based on her max HP will also further increase based on 15% of her healing bonus, which is why you want to make sure that your healing bonus is up. Now, of course, we also get a, stamina consumption decrease of 20% when she's on there. And of course, Sanganamiya Kokomi has a 25% healing bonus, but 100% decrease to crit rate, which we already kind of knew. Now, the first team I'm going to showcase here is a Nilou Bloom team. You want to have Nilou as your damage dealer, Nahida to help out with that damage and application, Kale to help out with that damage and application, and of course, Kokomi for damage and application plus healing. So we're gonna go ahead and fight Masanori. Now, some of you have asked me to go into Spiral Abyss, but I don't think it works entirely well showing off these teams in Spiral Abyss because you have to have specific teams. So we're gonna get some application on there. As you can see, we're getting the bloom going. And this is why it's important. As you can see, he backs up and now he's got more hydro. Look at the bloom. Look at the bloom on that. And of course, we can kind of showcase the ceremonial garment once he's done with being a, jerk. We're gonna go ahead and applicate that. And then we're gonna showcase Kokomi. As you can see, my Kokomi is gonna be doing about 4 to 7k damage depending on depending on what goes on. And she can do damage in her burst, which is pretty freaking crazy. But she's so good at being that unit that you need to fall back on. Now, we're gonna go ahead and switch to a different team, which is kind of an older school team that has been going on since really Inazuma, and that is Ayaka Freeze. Now, the reason why Freeze is so important, obviously, is because of the fact that really, you stop your opponents. It's not gonna show in his second phase too much, but it is good that we could get this going. And then the reason why we have Kazuha here is because we wanna be able to swirl all that. And then, having Shinha gives us that cryo damage bonus. We get the frozen, and then, boom. Look at that. Being able to freeze and, go through this phase without even really trying is so much fun. We're just waiting. All right, so we're gonna start applying everything again. We're gonna try and get through this real quick. And see, the freeze doesn't really work for Masanori, but you're still getting that freeze damage. Let's see if we can activate our burst again. And boom. Look at that. And she's so consistent. That's the thing I like about Kokomi the most. And she looks gorgeous. I will say this. As much as I give her crap, she is a gorgeous looking character. She really is. Look at her. She is literally priestess. And it just goes to show how good of a character she can be. Overall, Kokomi is a fantastic unit. And honestly, one of the few times I will tell a person it's a must summon. Kokomi is just really good in every team that she gets put in. I don't blame you if you summon for her. I'm done shilling for Kokomi. We know how good she is now. Even with the minus 100% crit rate, we know how good she is. And honestly, I hope this guide helps you decide on if you should pick up Kokomi or not. So if you like the content, please make sure to hit that like and subscribe button down below. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to be notified of when the next Genshin Impact video comes out. And of course, leave a comment. Would love to hear you guys' opinions on this. So that's gonna be it. Love you all to death. And as always, we will catch you all in the next video. Please take care and be safe.